As of lately, traditional slab smartphones are boring. iPhones have reached peak boredom at this point. And honestly, I haven't been as excited as I am now in the smartphone arena in the States until now. The Galaxy Z Fold 7 has absolutely taken the spot as my main device, meaning that I literally use my Z Fold 7 95% of the time, maybe more like 98 if I want to be a little bit exaggerant, over my iPhone, which is only getting about 5% of usage now. After 16 years of iPhone consistently being my main device, it has literally switched into the Galaxy Z Fold 7. What made the tables turn and what made this device etch out my iPhone as my main device and move me into the Galaxy Z Fold hemisphere full time? The Galaxy S25 Ultra and the iPhone 16 Pro Max were interchangeable. Obviously, it's arguable when you get into platform, and that's going to come down to preference, but generally from a performance and horsepower perspective, this device versus this device was 100,000% down to perspective and platform alone. But these have been pretty stagnant year after year, literally only doing iterative updates and small tweaks and refinements. Honestly, it's just been a year over year over year of refinements with the S25 Ultra and the 16 Pro Max. In comes the Z Fold 7, absolutely making the most exciting Galaxy Z Fold that we've seen to date. The Z Fold 7 offers something that took me out of the iPhone completely, that the S25 Ultra just can't offer me, or the iPhone 16 Pro Max absolutely cannot offer me until Apple decides to fold a device on this level, which is being rumored that next year is the year. There's no competition to the Z Fold 7 for me personally on a day-to-day basis. Now, I run a business. I do a lot of business productivity usage on a daily here, and this hands down has become my all-in-all encompassing device, as I can do everything here. I can run my business, I can do my personal entertainment, media, social media consumption, I can do my research, I can do so many things here because this is such a versatile device, and it's now even more versatile with the outer screen becoming a traditional smartphone size. So a lot of the complaints, or the drawbacks or the withdrawals that we've had with previous models have been corrected here, except for a few, right? Let me just address them now. A lot of people want their S Pen. The S Pen is gone. Whatever, until we meet again, S Pen. But I'm gonna be honest, unless the S Pen goes into the body, I could care less. And honestly, I do not want this body to get any thicker for an S Pen. So I would advise Samsung to continue on this building model, or give us two models if you want to go thicker. Secondly, the wire charging speeds, due to me using this on such a productivity heavy type of usage, they're not the fastest in comparison to the big dog S25 Ultra. I have to wait a while on wire charging, but I have a lot of solutions for that. If you guys haven't seen my top accessory videos, you guys can watch that now, as well as I'll have all of those accessories linked. And speaking on accessories, let me knock out this next con, and I want to show you guys my actual accessories of usage on a day-to-day. Now, the last and final con as of right now that I will give, no, there's another one too that I spoke about in my previous video that I'll make another mention. Battery sizing. Everyone wants it to get larger. A lot of people, I won't say everyone, I'll just say a lot of people, or it seems that way in the comment section. The people who have the most critique for the Z Fold are gonna say battery sizing. So, I mean, if Samsung could work out a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, I think that would shut up the naysayers and whatnot. But I hope it's done without compromising this size form factor, because this size and form factor is what makes the Z Fold 7 what it is, and what the changes offered this year, and what has a lot of iPhone users actually looking at this device. Because come on, you guys, come on, iPhone 16 Pro Max right next to the Z Fold 7. That is crazy. Now, moving on to my very last con, I will say this. I wish Samsung could figure out the anti-reflective property on the inner screen. Like that coating that you guys have, that little pre-installed screen protector, make it anti-reflective. Just like my first accessory that I'm going to speak to you guys on, this anti-reflective film that you get from Samsung, which in the beginning on my top accessory video, I spoke a little negative on. A lot of you guys put me up on game. that the line that was created would fade away, and you guys were right. I picked up another one, I put it on. I definitely had a line, the exact same line, so it was not user error, it's just how it goes. And by about the next day and a half to 2 days, it was gone, as you guys can see. And I now get the anti-reflective property. This is a studio light, blasting super bright light, and it is anti-reflective, just like what I love on the S25 Ultra, and what you don't get on the iPhone unless you use an accessory, which I do have an accessory to give me that via a screen protector. Now, case of choice as of right now on the day-to-day, I'm not gonna lie, is the Pitaka's Aramid offering. My runner-up is the Thinborn, and the Thinborn is actually probably better from a visual perspective as you get the front cover on the Thinborn. So I would highly recommend the Thinborn if you want a more cohesive look with the case, because Pitaka only offers the back case, which is kind of unfortunate because it throws off the look and the feel of the Z Fold 7. But if you need light protection, or if you want just a little extra peace of mind when placing it down on its back and whatnot, the Pitaka is a strong contender, but I would be wrong to not mention Thinborns, as theirs is the more cohesive all-around look. Now let me remove this so you guys can see the Z Fold 7 in its full glory. I'm not gonna lie, I've probably rocked this device without a case more than I have with a case. But there are times and moments where I'll be like, I just want to throw a case on it, because it feels so thin, so well, you know, designed that you don't want anything to happen to this device, as I'm using it for everything. But in the house, I can rock it butt naked. Now, what is the big difference when you compare, you know, being an iPhone user and getting into the Z Fold 7? The first most obvious one is design. You cannot get an 8-inch screen out of the iPhone 16 Pro Max. It's to the point to when I go back and I use this device, it feels very restrictive in its sizing and offering in comparison. And the same would be said if I were to speak to the S25 Ultra, as it's the traditional smartphone sizing. I get that sizing here. So when I want that, I have that. But when I want more, I have that as well. And that's something you can't do on the iPhone or in the Apple ecosystem hemisphere as of right now. And the reason why this is big for me, let me show you guys something. I do a lot of, you know, content. I run a business. I need to stay organized. One of my favorite apps for organization, and this is no free promo for them, is Monday.com. I can do my video planning. You guys seeing too much. You guys don't need to know what's coming out, but if you saw, you saw. And I can, you know, update my status. I also can track my brand deals and, you know, contractual obligations. I review contracts on here. It's so many things that this form factor right here, which is kind of like a page, is so perfect for in a productivity environment. Productivity on the iPhone 16 Pro Max is just typical smartphone usage, and it's very constricted after you unfold your life and everyday usage into a Z Fold 7. So out of here, from a screen perspective, as far as, you know, the Z Fold 7 goes, this is not really a comparison video to the 16 Pro Max. This is about why I'm switching, so I won't do that. I will do a head-to-head and everything, but again, these are Samsung screens, absolutely phenomenal. And if you want them to be as color accurate or as color matched as you're used to on your iPhone, then you're gonna wanna use your screens in the natural setting. To make it easy for you to understand what I'm speaking about, screen mode. Some people love vivid, but if you want color accuracy and all of that P3 gamut and whatnot, if you do any type of photo editing or video editing, you definitely want to run it on natural. That's how I run all of my Galaxy devices, and it makes this screen just accurate as it could be and as comparable to what we're used to from a color accuracy perspective. All right, chill out, get off your keyboard. Samsung makes or manufactures, which is the real term, Samsung manufactures Apple's iPhone's display. So that means that Apple has their spec and what they want out of the screen, and Samsung produces them for the iPhone. Samsung produces a few components, more than that for the iPhone. But that doesn't mean that Samsung's better. Samsung is a huge company and they offer multiple services outside of just their mobile smartphone creation service. Let's continue on, right? What else about the Z Fold 7 or the Galaxy One UI user experience has pulled me from the iOS, iPhone, Apple user bug. Listen, my main use for productivity is the screen sizing in that page format, but there's a lot of people out there who may want to do multi-window, multi-app usage. Literally, it's almost like unfolding two phones. And if I do two apps side by side, all right. So as you can see right now, I have TikTok in all of its full glory on my left side, and then I have Twitter on the right side. And that type of multitasking just cannot be done on an iPhone. And it goes even further because you can do 3 multi-windows. I can add a third app here, which I think is a bit excessive, but you know, hey, there's a lot of people out there that love that about their Galaxy device, and there are instances where you may want to use that triple app setup. Real multitasking, real multi-use device. If you have a lot of video calls and meetings, you got this inner camera here, and you can use flex mode, right? A straight up video call, a Zoom meeting and whatnot. And without it being UGC, you get a better quality, even though UGC would just equal less of a, cutout of this main screen, but a lot of foldables. People forget to mention when they try to talk down to the Z Fold 7 that the Pixel has it. A lot of those other phones that are over waters that people claim to be the most innovative foldables, they all have that cutout. So why are we complaining when Samsung has it? Again, I don't know what's going on with the UGC. There's a lot of speculation, but neither here nor there. I'm rolling with it. But I listened to you guys in the comment section. I saw a lot of comments about this being used for video conferencing and Zoom meetings and whatnot, presentations. So W in that sense, and that adds to the productivity factor of the Z Fold 7, something that you can FaceTime on here and you can do video meetings, but it's just not in the same context. But the flex mode though, that's what we want to talk about, or at least highlight. Now, what is it like to actually switch out of, Apple's ecosystem walled garden? Because it's a very tough software, and continuity is the number one thing that's hardest to give up. Even me to this day, I struggle with the idea or the thought of being fully out of continuity. Well, in regards to the Samsung's ecosystem, which you guys can set up like, some Buzz 3 Pro. You can get this Galaxy Watch 8 Classic, these custom watch faces. I teach you guys how to do that on the video and on the channel. You can also get, like a Tab S10 Ultra, which I love, absolutely love it. And you can even get a Galaxy laptop. I've never used the Galaxy laptop, but I do have Windows gaming laptops and just even traditional Windows laptops, as well as custom PCs that I love to build and use. So there is an ecosystem there. And the continuity, I'm gonna be honest, is not as fluid and as, optimized as Apple's, but it is really good. Being able to transfer, like if you're worried about AirDrop, you don't have to. Samsung's version, which is Quick Share, is technically faster and it's really good. There is a point where Quick Share isn't the same as AirDrop in some areas, but I'm gonna be honest, Apple's software and everything, they've been having some hit and miss moments as of lately. Again, continuity, I'm not gonna lie. The Apple ecosystem has continuity down to a T, and that's one of those things where I just feel like you'll give it up. There's alternatives to it. It's not quite the same, but it's very close to the point you can still feel comfortable. But I'm not gonna lie, continuity is huge. I use it every day at my editing station. Turn a 2-monitor Mac OS system into a 4-monitor system via continuity. Gotta love that. But on that same note, when I'm on my Windows machine, I'm able to use my Tab Ultra device and extend my Windows monitors from a dual setup to a triple monitor setup. Especially when I was streaming and whatnot, I would do that a lot. So again, like I said before, a lot of the things that you can do on Apple can be done here on Android or Samsung Galaxy One UI as well. As far as communicating in a similar matter to iMessage, you gotta go WhatsApp. And WhatsApp across the world is farly more used than iMessage. But here in the States, I gotta be real, I'm here in the States, iMessage rules the Americas, or at least out here in America. iMessage is huge. Having FaceTime and everything built in, the Apple Cash, things like that. And that just goes back to Apple's continuity. And I gotta be honest, it's almost unmatched. Again, you have options to do a lot of the same things. You might have to use an app to do them on the Z Fold 7, but boy, in more ways than one, or in many ways than others, it's absolutely worth it. Or it's absolutely worth the trade-off in order to get things like this. Customizing your device. Everyone always asks me, how do I get my devices to look the way that I do? I use the crayon icon pack, which is right there. That's how I get these icons. And the crayon icon pack is also how I get this main wallpaper. Now, this wallpaper, I found it on Twitter. I think I went back and found the link. A lot of people asked me about this one. I think I might finally, stop the gatekeeping and let you guys get it as well. So check the link in the description and you guys can get that one as well. So go ahead and unlock the full custom, CJ loadout. Performance, I'm not feeling any lack. So in here, we have the Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy, which means it's optimized and slightly overclocked and geared towards these Galaxy devices, which is crazy because I always take their chip and they just give it a little bit more for Samsung. And I appreciate that because you have one of the most fluid and smoothest smartphone interactions. Now, also, I told you guys, that I use the crayon icon pack to get the icon, design, which you can't do on Apple. Let's just take a look at my Apple icons. Yeah, you can do the little color-ish stuff, but you can't do this. And I have Nova Launcher on here. So I'm not using One UI. If you were to switch and if you were new, you're more than likely going to use One UI. Nothing wrong with One UI. It's just as snappy and as fluid. I just use Nova Launcher because I could get a lot more custom with that. I may eventually just do a Nova Launcher setup video for my newcomers who are switching from the iPhone, because I know it's a lot of you out there switching. That's a part of the reason why I'm making this video and talking about this, into the Z Fold 7, giving you some Nova Launcher, game. And then my current, Android enthusiasts that have seen my setup and want to, get the icons stacked up like that. You can do close to this with Good Lock. I know Good Lock is going to be a conversation piece. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, if you're on Apple and you're thinking about getting in the Galaxy world, there's a lot of apps, a lot of customization, a lot more that you can do with your smartphone to make it you, to make it for you and, relate to, your expression and what you want to have on your device. You can do that here, and they have their own software called Good Lock, which unlocks so much. It would make this video too long to get into things like that, but that is the topic that we can talk about right now, or that we've been talking about: customization. Hands down, an experience that you're gonna feel on the Z Fold 7 that you will not feel on your iPhone. Hands down. I'm sorry. Gotta put it over there to the side. And okay, we do not have the MagSafe magnets. Samsung, please. Google just did it. They put the Qi 2 magnets. I forgot what they called it. They called it Google something, Google Snap or something like that. Pixel Snap, whatever. Make your version, Qi 2 magnets. Come on now. And that way we can have MagSafe. But if you were to get into the Z Fold 7 and you want to continue to use your MagSafe accessories, you can use these cases that I mentioned earlier. The Pataka has the MagSafe magnets, as well as the Thinborn, and so on. So if you get a third-party case, you'll get to continue to use your MagSafe accessories. It is, and it can be, and it honestly 100% is, slightly expensive to switch if you choose to go full out. If you choose to swap your smartwatch from an Apple Watch to a Galaxy Watch 8 Classic or Galaxy Watch Ultra 2025. If you choose to swap your AirPods out for some Galaxy Buds 3 Pros, you swap your iPhone for the Z Fold 7. And if you want to take it further, swap your iPad for the Tab Ultra, and maybe you swap in your Mac OS device for the Samsung laptop. I don't know. I never used the Samsung laptop. The more you get into it, or the more you switch, or the more items you swap out, the pricier it'll be. Another great thing to Samsung's credit and the Z Fold, lineup Z Fold 7, even though it wasn't the most aggressive trade-in values this year, typically when you trade in your device with Samsung, aka trade in your iPhone or some other device, you get a pretty decent credit towards your purchase on, Samsung.com, especially if you pre-order. And there's always deals being ran. As you guys know, Apple doesn't really like to discount their products. Again, listen, I'm just letting you guys know that there's a phone out there that when you've reached your peak boredom with these, phone after phone after phone, not much changing, the, Apple intelligence debacle and all that stuff. Listen, there's a device out there that is really giving you fun in the tech world, and it's doing it in such a great way. And it's delivering on power, performance, optimization, and it's expanding for a lot of people their smartphone usage. And that's what the Z Fold 7 has 100% absolutely been for me. This video is all about my user experience. As someone who would traditionally use this as my main device, and switching to not using this at all and doing everything here. Listen, all my social media, TikTok, Twitch, Twitter, all of my YouTubing here. Why wouldn't I use this bigger screen? Listen, let me show you guys something. All right, we're gonna look at our bro C-Kid. Look at the size of that TikTok pop up. Come on now. Let me go to a website really quick, right? Look at this website right here. This is super fire. This is a Black Myth Wukong Special Edition mechanical keyboard from Keychron. This is not an ad or a sponsorship. I just happen to have the keyboard right here, and I was recently looking at the website, so that's why that's on my Chrome. But look at the size and look at how traditional scrolling a website is on this device. Emails. I can't show you emails for confidentiality reasons, but just everything that's optimized for foldable looks better and performs better and used better on a foldable. So my name is CJ. I know tech, so you don't have to. I just wanted to share with you guys why someone after 16 years of using primarily iPhones will switch to the Galaxy Z Fold 7 and have little to no regrets.